Hi there, and welcome to this video on aperture in photography. In this video, we'll be discussing what aperture is and how it affects your photos and how you can use it to take better pictures. First, let's talk about what aperture is. Simply put, aperture refers to the opening in the lens through which light enters the camera. It is measured in f-stops, which can be a bit confusing at first. The important thing to remember is that the smaller the f-stop number, the wider the aperture is, and the more light that enters the camera. The aperture is controlled by a diaphragm inside the camera lens, which can be adjusted to make the opening bigger or smaller. This allows you to control how much light enters the camera, which is important for getting the exposure just right. But aperture doesn't just affect the amount of light in your photo, it also affects the depth of field, which is how much of your photo is in focus. When you use a wide aperture, that is small f-stop number, you have a shallow depth of field, which means only a small portion of your photo will be in focus. This can be great for portraits, where you want to blur the background and focus on the subject. On the other hand, when you use a narrow aperture, that is large f-stop number, you have a deep depth of field, which means more of your photos will be in focus. This can be useful for landscapes or architecture, where you want everything in the photo to be sharp and clear. So, how do you use aperture to take better photos? Well, it depends on what you are trying to achieve. If you are taking portraits, you will generally want to use a wider aperture to create a shallow depth of field and blur the background. If you are taking landscapes or architecture, you will want to use a narrower aperture to create a deep depth of field and capture everything in focus. Of course, there is no right way to use aperture. It depends on your creative vision and the effect you are trying to achieve. Let me state that again. There is no right way to use aperture, and there is no wrong way to use it. It depends on your creative vision and the effect you are trying to achieve. Get that right from this moment. Now, to adjust the aperture on your camera, you will need to switch to manual mode or aperture priority mode, which is usually indicated by an A or AV on your camera's mode dial. Then you can use the control wheel or buttons on your camera to adjust the aperture. It's also worth noting that the aperture you choose will affect your shutter speed and ISO. So it's important to balance all the three settings to get the exposure just right. And that's a quick overview of aperture in photography. Remember, aperture is just one of the many tools in your photography arsenal, but it's an important one that can have a big impact on your photos. So go out and experiment with different apertures and see what creative possibilities you can discover. Thanks for watching this video and happy shooting. However, if you have not subscribed to our channel before and you found this video very educating to you, please kindly subscribe so that you don't miss out on our new videos. Thank you, and see you next time.